course, we have plenty of uncertainty in the Middle East. Always have uncertainty there. President Trump meeting at the White House with those former hostages who are held in Gaza, as the White House confirms that it is indeed engaged in direct talks with Hamas. Now, the president came out with this threat for Hamas on Truth Social, and he told them that you release all the hostages, not later, do it now, immediately return all of the dead bodies that you murdered, or it is over for you. Only sick and twisted people keep bodies. You're sick and twisted. So he says, I'm sending Israel everything it needs to finish the job. Not a single Hamas member will be safe if you don't do as I say. That was the warning. Hamas then said it would only release the hostages if there is a lasting truce. So not much of a response, right? Let's bring Gershon Baskin in here real quick as we wait for the president. He's a former Israeli hostage negotiator. Always good to have you, Gershon. What do you make of that latest back and forth between Trump and Hamas?
Well, we have to be honest and recognize that the United States has actually very little leverage over Hamas. I think what the president is trying to do is to scare them into making a deal that they don't want to deal. Hamas is committed to the deal that it signed with Israel way back in the end of in the beginning of January, and they're not going to compromise on their demand to end the war. And here we have a problem, because the message that the U.S. is sending to Hamas is that we're going to greenlight Israel to renew the war, but we're forgetting that the lives of the hostages that are still alive might be at risk if Israel does in fact go back to war. Not only are the Hamas leaders and commanders in Gaza at risk, definitely, but they have also threatened to kill the remaining living hostages.
Now, the president's envoy, Steve Witkoff, he spoke earlier today at the White House driveway, and here's what he said.
The president was pretty blunt. It's time for Hamas to start acting in a responsible and reasonable way. And we don't think that they have been doing that. As the president has said before, I don't think you alert everybody how you're going to negotiate, well, what your reaction's going to be. But I wouldn't test President Trump.
Says he wouldn't test President Trump. Okay, you're literally a negotiator. What do you think is next here?
Well, I think that the Qataris and the Egyptians, who have the direct contact with Hamas all the time, are going to try to convince Hamas to loosen their demands to enable the additional release of hostages under the terms of phase 1 without going into phase 2. I don't think that Hamas will give in to that pressure. I think that the Hamas leadership outside might be leaning toward agreeing to the American demands, but I think we have a new group of commanders inside of Gaza who are not necessarily taking their orders from the Hamas leadership who are outside of Gaza. And here's where we have the very big problem.
Gershon, thank you. I appreciate it. We'll be back to you as this story continues to develop. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.